Welcome back to The Gassing Station, the podcast that ventures into the PistonHeads forums like I have just ventured to Monaco, co-host Sam Sheehan.
Very, very jealous.
I've just come back from the Monaco Grand Prix.
Oh, so bloody jealous.
Actually, it's not true.
Yeah.
I haven't gone yet. We're actually recording this just beforehand.
In the past.
But by the time that you listen to this, I would have come back and I'm not going to be able to tell my story. First of all, because it'll be out of date.
Yeah.
And second of all, the next time we do a podcast, we record one, will be at Le Mans.
Oh, yeah. Live at Le Mans. Well, not quite, but yeah.
Well,
As we go.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We'll be live.
Yeah.
And then it will go out a couple of days later. But Le Mans feels like a much more PHY event than the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
However, I'm a massive Formula One fan. I have been for decades. And I've never been before. And I'm actually going out to drive the day before the new
Formula One car?
No,
Le Mans car.
It's the dream.
Yeah.
It's the abs. I'd love to drive, and I don't want one of the hybrids.
No,
give me a
V8.
My ultimate dream Formula One car to drive. 2007 McLaren.
Yeah.
Because the howl of that V8 is ridiculous. Or a V10 of any sort.
Yeah.
Of any sort.
An 04 V10 is peak. V10.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd take an 05 McLaren.
Yeah.
Just for personal preference of the way it looks. But, if they throw me the keys to a Minardi, I'll go, why not?
Is that that's a bit of a dig at Minardi having low budget? Did they still have a key? They're whoop, 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 and then they're off. And everyone else had their electric, well, they were manual starts.
Well, it's kind of funny because when you go, obviously, like Formula One moves in technology, and it's like you go back to that time period of where some... Do you remember the term seamless shift?
Yeah.
Where it's like, they had a seamless shift gearbox where the ones at the back of the
head
grid
stopped doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Stopped rocking for the listeners.
Oh, my God. You could just imagine, that they were... You look at a Formula One car from 20 years ago now, and at the time they were so advanced, and now they look ancient.
Yeah.
I know, so no, I'm very much looking forward to driving the Audi RS5 the day before. I went to the launch of it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to drive. I'm going to take it on some nice twisty roads, and then I'm going to watch somebody put it on pole, and I'm not actually going to be there for the Grand Prix, but it doesn't matter because whoever is on pole on the Saturday, 99% of the time is the person who wins it on Sunday.
Well done, Lance Stroll. Good win.
So that's an estate car I'm very excited about. But there's another estate that I'm even more excited about that I can't drive. And it's actually considerably older, but it's brand new. It is the E46 M3 Touring that has been built by Petroyle.
Yeah.
I don't know how you actually pronounce it properly.
Petroyle? Did you go to because I was supposed to go to the reveal of this, but I couldn't make it. It clashed with another event. So
I couldn't go either, but our very own Matt Bird has just driven it.
Oh, jealous.
And annoyingly, this is the case of where I know he's just driven it, and I think the story is coming out tomorrow, the day after we're recording this. But I can almost guarantee he would have had an absolutely magnificent time driving it. But this is, for those who don't know, BMW in 2000 created a E46 M3 Touring. It's not something they just draw up on paper. They actually created the concept car. It then emerged several to many years later as we built one of these and didn't put it into production.
Quite recently.
Yeah. It was really, because there's a load of M projects that it's kind of once in a blue moon they go, oh, by the way, you could have had this, but we never built it in the end. And it's like, it's a bit like they made a S62 V8 version of the E46 M3 CSL. And they put like 10,000 miles on it or something like that. They just drove it really far. Never put it into production, but they were like, it's really tail happy and fun. Plus various other things. The G81 M3 Touring GT3 car, where they were like, it's a joke. And it's like, it's not a joke if it's something we really want. And then they went, okay, well, we'll go and build it. And then obviously they raced it at the Nürburgring and it finished 5th at the N24. Ridiculous.
Did it have an aero? Because they always have aero advantages, don't they? The longer the roofs. I bet it had a bit of an aero advantage.
I don't know how it works. It was in a class called SPX, which is kind of like an anything goes class. So that it was joined by the HWA Evo, and I think maybe the Glickenhaus used to race in SPX. But anyway, So they put this, they showed it off and they were like, we built this and you're going to love it, but we never put it into production. And the reason being is that if I understand correctly, they showed it to a load of executives and I think some press who went, this is the best thing ever. You absolutely have to build this. So they got quite excited and went, what do potential customers think?
Yeah.
So they showed loads of their top customers who all went, don't care.
Probably because I guess, having an estate car, if you're buying a normal E46, you don't need an estate. So you shouldn't have shown it to your existing customers. You should have shown it to people who buy your normal Tourings.
That is the whole point. Hindsight is always 2020, as the Americans say. So they never put it into production for obvious reasons. Several decades later, the G81 turns up. Everybody loves the M3 Touring, and BMW is now going, maybe we should have done it, But obviously they can't do that, so Petroyle comes in and says, we've gone and made it happen. Now, if you're into this sort of thing, like I very much am, there are lots and lots and lots of people who have made E46 M3 Tourings. Most famously, maybe, is Alex Kirsten.
Yeah.
Formerly of Car Throttle and now of his own
channel,
name.
of Alex Kirsten.
Of Alex Kirsten. He built one, and I believe it cost him many tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Many tens of thousands to make that happen. But, he ended up with what would have been a one of one. Obviously, a few people have made them since. This thing, though, is a little bit more comprehensive. So the usual thing that people do is they'll take an E40... Well, it's E46 Touring.
Yeah, it's just Touring.
330 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they'll shove M3 running gear in it, and voila, you've got that. Whereas what the guys at Petroyle have done is they've actually fabricated a lot of the Touring parts out of carbon fibre.
Oh, yeah. That's the way to do it.
Because apparently it's just as expensive as it would have been to make it out of steel.
Really?
If not cheaper.
I suppose because you've got to make all the presses and for a low production run. But, with carbon fibre, you still got to surely make moulds and stuff. Okay, fair enough. That's very impressive.
It's a bold thing to do.
Yeah.
So they've made it all out of carbon fibre, which means it's not far off the weight of an original M3 Coupe, 1,570 odd kilos for the old Coupe. And it means that the torsional rigidity is incredible. So it's much stiffer and super light, should drive brilliantly. But because it's essentially a Restomod, although not in the traditional sense of where what we're looking at here is it looks like a stock M3 Touring. I'll put pictures up of it. The original car is in Laguna Seca Blue, one of my absolute favourite colours.
Gorgeous colour.
On a BMW. Yeah. This one's got a kind of like a caramelly tan interior, but obviously you can have it in pretty much whatever you want. So the ones that we've seen, standard M3 style. However, they are going to do a carbon roof if you want a CSL style M3 Touring.
Yeah.
Kind of defeats the...
Yeah,
not really an let's say CSL.
You're not going to put your roof rack on that, are you?
But a CS... Yeah. Anyway, I'm being a pedantic. But it's not only that, is that you can also get different engine options. So you could either take if it's a donor car, you could use the S54 from that, straight six. Yeah. They also apparently have some 0 mile S54 straight sixes. Crazy.
0 miles?
Zero mile.
Were they just hanging around in the...
No idea who's got 0 mile S54s lying around. But apparently, if you fancy something a little bit crazier, you can get an S65 V8 or an S85 V10.
Now that would be an all-rounder, wouldn't it? Blimey, a V10 in an E46 M3 Touring, that is going to be...
This is why I love the E46. It's just that you can do so much to them, and they're brilliant. Just fantastic. I'd love to drive this. I'd love to own one. That is going to be a lot easier said than done because it's £130,000.
But you know what?
At the very
Given
least.
what you've just said and the spec of this car and the fact that they've had to custom make bodywork out of carbon, that's actually, when you think about this world, not a massively insane number.
Well, think of it like this. You can get a G81 for, not just any old G81. That's kind of G81 CS money, really, for that kind of... and that is an exceptionally good car. Obviously, this isn't nearly as powerful, but what it does have is a manual gearbox. Yeah. You can have a manual gearbox with it. And it also has a normal face.
Yeah, it's genuinely quite a pretty car now.
Yeah.
I mean, it always was, but it looks especially so.
But the thing,
now.
the thing is, and a G81 CS is an exceptionally rare thing. I mean, when BMW never released production numbers for them, but when I spoke to them, I think it's in the low hundreds. Really, really rare car. They're only making 50 of these.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even rarer. And I guarantee you, wherever you go with an E46 M3 Touring, jaws will be slack.
Yeah. And if you go for the V10 in that, wow. That's going to be a car.
Is really freaking
it's
cool.
Guaranteed. If they're only making, and they're going to stop production at that number, and they won't, then say, oh, we're going to do a second run. Whoever goes for the rarer spec of that, that's guaranteed return. Not that you're going to do it for the money. Obviously, you're going to drive it and love it.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think this is the sort of thing of where it's a lifer.
Yeah.
You buy it and you just go, that's my M3 Touring now. So can't wait to read what Matt Bird has written about that. But in the meantime, what I thought we could do is maybe have a look at what other cars that were shown as concepts at some point in their life, and we went, yes, I really want that. And then the manufacturer said, no,
not getting that.
And kind of with hindsight, maybe they should have done it.
Yeah.
So we built up a little bit of a list. I've got a few. You've got a few, Sam. So I'm going to let you serve in sports terms. That means you can go first.
Serve. Yeah, so I actually, this was a real nostalgic one for me because I immediately thought of the cars you could get in the early Gran Turismo games where they were like, oh, here's your because it's a bit
you
busy.
You are talking my language,
yeah.
Sam.
Well, because now, I mean, these Vision Gran Turismos are coming out, left, right. There was a period, wasn't there, where every 3 days another one landed. But in the early 2000s, there were a few concept cars that had been revealed that the game got. And you're like, this is so cool, I can drive the concept. And one I remember really well because of the way it looked. And I hope I'm saying this right, but the Cadillac CN?
That's what I call it.
Yeah. That's how I always said it. But anyway, that was a car that actually, when I played the game, I never knew it was ever intended for production. But it turns out it was.
I thought that it was a real car, and then growing up and knowing that it was. Well, I think they made one. They made I think it ran. A prototype.
It ran, yeah. But basically, it was intended for production. I think it was 2002, and it was the 100th anniversary celebration for Cadillac. 7.5 litre V12, 750 horsepower. Semi-auto 6-speed, paddle shifter stuff. It was probably quite a violent paddle shifter in those days.
I imagine. Not a seamless shift in 2002.
Yeah. But mid-engine rear-wheel drive, 3.5 seconds to 60, 217 miles per hour, ticks all the supercar boxes, and it looks fantastic. But they canned it due to costs. I mean, I'm not surprised because it probably was going to be quite an expensive project.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Filling up a 7.5 litre V12. Oh,
with bloody Ron 88 or whatever they have in the States.
This was genuinely, there were 2 supercar concepts that came out of America at this time. I've actually mentioned the CN on the pod before, many, many months ago. But so it was the CN and the Me 412 by Chrysler.
Yeah.
2 genuinely staggering looking cars. Because I mean, up until that point, America was putting out some proper dogs. It was peak American cars are rubbish.
Yeah,
especially in that period where it's plasticky and cheap.
I was just about to throw a defense, and I was going to be like, because obviously in the 60s and stuff, the American car world was amazing, and it was so cool, and they had these groundbreaking designs. Yeah, at that point, they'd gone a little bit.
It kind of went
rubbish.
downhill in the 70s with the fuel crisis, and then was slowly recovering.
Yeah.
And then obviously now there are some incredible American cars. We've sung the C8's praises on here, but this kind of felt like a real these are really cool looking cars. But costs meant that they never put that into production. Same with the Me 412. I think had those cars come out now, they would have made it to production.
I think so. Yeah.
Because there's such an appetite now for supercars that weirdly wasn't there pre-financial crisis.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it would have ended up being like a V6 hybrid or something nowadays, but you can certainly, a V12 would definitely sell these days.
7.5 litre V12.
Yeah. I mean, and they could go, well, it's synthetic fuel, so it's all right.
Well, Cadillac's has made a mega comeback in the last few years.
Yeah, they're racing.
Le Mans program, Formula One program.
Yeah.
In America, they got the Black Wings.
Bring back the CN, I say.
Bring back the CN, America.
Yeah. I totally agree. Now, another one that potentially was killed off because of money, and the brand associated, you won't be surprised to hear, is Lotus. The M250, it was actually, I didn't know this, because Lotus in the early 2000s again was planning on having the Elise at the entry level, and then having this, whatever the M250 would end up being called, and then an Esprit.
Right, yes.
To sit above it. And so they had given this car in concept form a 250 horsepower, 3-litre V6. They hadn't decided which engine yet, but it was going to be probably a Renault or an Opel engine. Obviously, Renault's V6 went into the Clio V6, and obviously Vauxhall Opel were putting theirs in their... they put it in the Vectra, didn't they, I think, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
But they both had engines available, so that wouldn't have been a problem. But, you know... This was supposed to be a car that was going to build on the creature comforts of a Lotus Elise. Basically, there were no creature comforts in a Lotus Elise. So I like in the listing I found online, it said the creature comforts would include air conditioning, central locking, and electric windows. So it was kind of pretty basic stuff.
Oh, yeah. But by Lotus standards,
yeah,
it's like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't going to be quite as comfortable and Grand Tour-esque as what the Esprit that they were intending to also produce of the day would be. So that's a massive shame they didn't make production, because, all right, yes, it does look a little bit like an S2 Elise that's slightly swelled up on the face, but I like it. I think it's really good.
First of all, mouth agog, because I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Yeah, and look at the aero on the rear.
The front is genuinely so striking.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool looking thing. This, however, I think did make production, or at least in some form, because that back end is Evora.
Yeah.
So 2000, this concept came out, didn't make it anywhere. Obviously, bits would have been used for the S2, at least, because this predates S2, does it not? Yeah,
I think it does actually. And obviously, with those front headlights, clearly this has significant inspiration.
So you've got some S2 Elise bits on there. The back end is Evora through and through, right down to the triangular shaped exhaust, single exit exhaust. And obviously, Lotus did try and do something similar to that with the Europa.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's proper Lotus right there. One concept car, 3 production cars out of it.
Really getting some mileage out of them.
I'd just like to point out that the concept, the full-size concept, it's a clay model, so it didn't actually move, but I would love to have owned this and tried to copy the bodywork. Sold 14 years ago on another auction platform. I don't know what this is, but it sold for £4,500.
Oh wow, that's someone's like coffee table now, or it probably sits somewhere in the back
garden.
garden.
That is a really cool thing.
Hopefully not in the back garden, actually, as clay would very quickly into the soil.
Yes.
A very contrasting car, but one that feels and these are all quite of similar era, but I promise you my final one isn't the same era. This is in the 90s, 1992 to be exact. Man. So just before those two cars, we have ourselves possibly the maddest car on my list, but potentially also one of the funnest ones, not least because of the press pictures associated with it, where people are, I'm not kidding, if you can use the image, hopefully you can, people are dressed in what look to be like morph suits, but chrome in an alien-esque style.
It was very like looking forward to the future.
Yeah.
God, it was exciting times, the 90s.
Times of optimism.
I was like...
You were a baby.
I was 7 when the millennium hit. But, you know, it was still exciting times.
Exactly.
I was going to say, this actually predates me by a year.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I remember this car really quite well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know much about it.
Seeing it on old Top Gears or whatever, maybe something was involved. But the things that stand out to me...
It's a Renault Zoom, by the way.
Yes.
Haven't announced.
Oh my God, we didn't announce the car.
Right, the car is the Renault Zoom.
Renault Zoom.
Yeah.
The things that stand out to me when you look at it the most, other than the ladies in chrome catsuits, is it's a car that is perfectly built for Paris. In fact, I think it has been designed exclusively for Paris.
Parisian life.
Because first of all, the rear axle kind of moves. Yeah, it kind of
There's
folds, pivots.
Yeah,
kind of pivots inwards, so that the arse kind of goes up in the air.
Yeah,
and the wheels come inwards.
Yeah, and then the wheelbase, not the wheelbase, the full length shrinks to 2.3 meters.
That's very short,
which obviously is quite helpful for reversing into small Parisian spaces. And this is pre-smart car, so this kind of very core focus on squeezing into tight spaces. I mean, I'm sure you could consider most old cars were capable of doing that by default, but it was even in 92 at a point where cars were maybe in Paris at least getting a little bit trickier to park. So
Well,
this was there to save that. And also it had plastic bumpers.
That's it. Because we all know that Parisians really struggle to park and drive.
Yes.
Without hitting something.
Yeah. It was electric as well, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
61 horsepower. Now, I actually found 2 power figures for it, but the higher one, which is the one I'm going to put in because it's the one that would be... The other one was in the 30s.
Very PHE.
Yeah, well, the other one, they're both pretty low, but it's 61 horsepower in a car that weighs a few hundred kilograms.
Nice.
So, it's a little electric car just for popping down the shops and squeezing into the spaces wherever you can get a spot outside. So I thought it was really cool. And the name Renault Zoom, I know it doesn't sound like wind, but it was like they clearly had a bit of an obsession with single syllable words like zoom and wind.
Wait, Zoom was Mazda, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
High contrast with the next one. Because, again, in the noughties, well, that one was the noughties, but back into the noughties, Audi was doing quite well at Le Mans with some diesel cars, back when diesel was cool. And the R8 was actually produced as, or a demonstration of what they were thinking was produced using the V12 turbo diesel injection engine, or an inspired engine. I don't know if it was the exact engine, actually. Oh, yeah, it says derived in my notes, so there you go.
It was derived
6-litre twin turbocharged diesel V12 engine derived from the R8 Le Mans winner. The R10 Le Mans winner. 738 pound-foot. That was shoehorned. I think it's fair to say shoehorned because it's a fair bit bigger than the V10, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a whole litre more.
Yeah.
And 2 cylinders.
Yeah, shoehorned into the R8 with 738 pound-foot, 493 brake horsepower, and best of all, a 6-speed manual. Not because they thought it was cool, because the DSG of the day just couldn't handle the torque. So they were like, well, we'll have to give it a manual.
That is quite funny. I remember the Le Mans cars were 5-speed because they were so torquey, but they just didn't need 6 speeds to work.
Just long 5 speeds.
The other thing is that that would be a very low revving engine.
It would. You'd have to short shift, or what would feel like short shifting.
I think that's one of the few instances of where I'm like, would I want a manual?
Yeah.
Diesel?
Maybe not. Yeah.
V12. I remember when the Audi went to diesels and being like, oh, so boring. Oh, V. Yeah. And now I look and I'm just like, the V12 diesel is such a bonkers idea.
Yeah. And they sounded good. Like they're big engine diesels. The Le Mans cars sounded good, didn't they?
Yeah. I would still rather the cars that we have now.
Yeah.
Valkyries and Caddies especially. But they were really cool. And they actually built this car, did they not? I think they built a running operating prototype.
Yeah.
And I remember them. It was genuinely going to be a production car.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
Yeah. Which is a shame because now they might be, well, it could go either way really. They could have been the rare option and therefore there would be so few that they'd be the most expensive or one of the more expensive ones. Or they could be the ones we're going, so for our buying challenge, 15k supercars, then we'd be going, an R8 TDI,
That's it, yes, because no one bought them.
Yeah, because they'd be, or they were, few of them were made, but they were also not very desirable. I don't know, it could go either way really. But anyway, the next car. Now, this is much more recent. In fact, this was I think it was 2018. It was certainly the last decade. The Peugeot E-Legend. Now, you might be thinking, I don't know what that is, because I actually had forgotten about this car. But when I reminded myself of it, I realised I'd written a news story on it when I was at Auto.
You can say the name of the publication.
Yeah, I was at Autocar back in the 2010s. And basically, this was always supposed to be a concept car, but it looked so good. It had, especially from the front, it had like this kind of retro, almost cartoonish design. It was a purely electric car back before everything was going purely electric. But it was more about the design, and it was so popular with people. Not only did loads of people at the show it was revealed at say, I'd buy one of those, but there was also a petition started, and there were tens of thousands of signatures. So much so that the execs at Peugeot were like, oh, maybe we should actually do this.
Yes. And
so they did actually look into doing it, and they had, apparently, it was basically, there were news stories being put out, and I reminded myself with some research, several motoring journalists, proper ones, not silly ones, were saying, this is coming, 2020 expected. Then it was canned. It might have had, I don't think it was because of the big thing that happened in 2020, because I think it was canned in 2020 and or maybe just before. They would, if they were going to do it and it was going to launch then, they'd be quite far down the development line.
Yes, they went, why build this really cool little sports car when we could build something like a 508 PSE? Nothing against the 508 PSE sort of. But I mean, I
Well,
actually
if it
saw
had
one of
this
those on the
body-
road the other day.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Peugeot designs can look good. Like, this was an
They
illustration
can do. It's
that's-
just that they're just averse to doing anything that's remotely interesting beyond saloons and SUVs.
Yeah. Well, this could have been
Or
a fix
hatchbacks.
of that, and unfortunately it wasn't. So
That is a real disappointment, because I think the E-Legend, or Legend, being
yeah.
French, could have been a proper marker of being like, right, we're doing electric, we're going to create a little electric sports car coupe that I think that would have worked really well as an EV.
Yeah.
But you didn't do it, Peugeot. So, yes, that's why you've made it onto our list of disappointments.
Yeah.
On that note, what could have worked hand in hand with that is the first concept on my list, which is the Lancia Fulvia.
Oh, yes.
I am a huge Lancia fanboy. I think they're my favourite car maker ever, which is why it really hurts when people say, "Oh, you can't say Lancia properly." All right, Lancia. I love them. They're all, they were cars I idolised when growing up, and the Fulvia was very much one of them. So in the mid 2000s, of when what would have been FCA at the time said, "We're going to bring the Lancia Fulvia back," and I saw the pictures and I was like, "This is
hello,
stunner!"
Yeah.
Because it retained that very distinct 3-box design of the original Fulvia. Lovely long bonnet, tiny little cockpit, and then a little kind of like boxy rear at the end.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And it was delayed and delayed and delayed. The original plan was to put it on the Fiat Punto Mark II.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's... I mean, I had a Mark II Punto. It was my first car.
It gets better.
Interesting.
Because they went, we probably shouldn't put it on a Punto chassis.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the Alfa Romeo Spider chassis instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also famously a brilliant chassis.
Front-wheel drive.
Yes. And then, unfortunately, it was canned around about the time the whole world was involved in a financial crisis.
I remember that. Yes, that
which
was
is
a thing.
deeply disappointing. However, it's a car that I really think should make a comeback, because Lancia is making a comeback at the moment. There's been plenty of opportunities to do something along the Fulvia lines that they've not done. First of all, it was when they did Stellantis buddied up with Mazda to go and do the Fiat 124 Spider.
Yeah.
That was based on an MX-5, which seemed like such a great opportunity. Like, go and you could make a good car out of this. They could have done 124 Spider and Fulvia.
Fixed roof. Yeah.
Didn't do it. Yeah, fixed roof.
Could have just been... Yeah.
Great idea. Didn't do it. That was a real shame. And then you've got this... the Legend that you've just bought up.
Yeah.
Very, very similar proportionally.
Perfect proportions.
You could have, and we know how much Stellantis loves to share its platforms. You could have the Legend on that. You could have the Fulvia. You could have an electric 124.
Yeah.
You could have...
Well, the other brands.
Plurial. No. There's all sorts of things you could have done with it.
Yeah.
So,
Squishy
Alfa
Citroen
Romeo
version.
Spider.
Yes, but that would be an easy one.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah. The only thing with this Fulvia, because I agree it's a pretty thing, but I just can't unsee the Naughty's Astra headlights on it. I know that it's just a coincidence.
I know what you mean.
But I don't know why. I look at it and I go, oh, that's an Astra that's been cut up, but no.
I've got that kind of vision of when I see something with a Lancia badge on the front.
Everything changes.
Everything, I just go, oh, I love it. Anyway, next up, Sam and people of PistonHeads, I really don't like the Rover 75. I really don't like the Rover 75. I think it for me, embodies everything that was wrong about perceptions of British culture at the time, of where it was twee and old hat when it arrived, even though it was built on much better platform. However, in 2004, Rover did something ridiculous and actually made a desirable version of the Rover 75 called the Rover 75 Coupe, and it was genuinely a really cool, well-designed little machine.
Nice.
It had... The roofline was almost a bit like a Mercedes, a second-generation Mercedes CL. So it was kind of this beautiful arch, kind of single arch that ran from A pillar to B or C pillar.
Yeah,
I think they were the back.
Pillarless.
Because they have pillarless doors.
Yeah.
it was a really very beautiful looking thing. The only problem is that Rover went into quite severe financial troubles in 2005,
into the red,
as everyone knew, and it was ultimately canned. However, someone has built one. There's someone who's actually built one. So because Rover was buddying up with, or was owned by BMW, they actually used the basis of a BMW 3 Series coupe,
makes sense,
and then built the Rover around that, and and it looks absolutely fantastic. The aforementioned car magazine that you mentioned earlier, they ran a piece on it, and you can go and if you type it in, you'll find their piece on it, and it's really well worth a read because I just love people that do that kind of thing, building concepts that was, they never made it. He really wanted one, and he just went, well, I'll go and build it myself. On a car that was considerably cooler and a coupe was the Range Rover SV Coupe.
Yeah.
This feels like a car that should absolutely be put into production, and I'm not really sure why. But yeah, so this was first shown at Geneva, I think, in 2018. Remember the Geneva Motor Show?
Yeah.
God, it was good.
I actually still remember when it was busy, and now it's,
I went to the last ever one in 2019.
Wow. I remember when it was so busy, you had to run through crowds to get from car A to car B.
Yeah.
And that's not that long ago.
It was a cool thing. But yes, so it's 2018. Land Rover showed off the Range Rover SV Coupe. It was, as it sounds, an SV. A Range Rover, but 2 doors, coupe style. Land Rover had done something similar to that before with the very early Range Rovers. Yeah. It seemed like the ultimate win. People were lining up to go and buy something like this. I think the only problem maybe is how they actually planned on doing it.
Yeah.
Because the idea was that it was going to be hand assembled by SVO. So it was going to be a very special thing indeed. Prices were going to start at £240,000.
And that was then.
That was in 2018. That's a lot of money.
You can add 50k to that now to give the equivalent
100%.
price.
100%. God, that's depressing, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe not that much.
They
but
planned on doing a production run of 999 examples. So and it had a 5-litre supercharged V8, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
It had to have that. I wonder if they shouldn't have announced. I wonder if that's too many. To say we're going to make 1,000 of these and they're £250,000 each.
I'm
not sure how many people were dropping £250,000 on a Range Rover. They obviously are now. People are more than willing to fork out that kind of money. But back in 2018, I'm not sure there would have been quite the uptake as they were now. So ultimately, it was canned a year later. Another car that I think struggled to generate much customer interest, and I'm kind of baffled to understand why, Lamborghini Estoque. So this is something that's I was talking about recently so there'll be a feature on the PH homepage. You might have to scroll down a little bit to read it, but I had an interview with CEO Stefan Winkelmann, and we were talking about the new 2+2 that they're working on, and they've always kind of been toying with the idea of a GT of some sort. So there was they did a 2-seater GT a few years back that looked really very cool, the Asteron or something like that. And then before then, it was the Estoque. The Estoque was a 4-door saloon. It
sounds like when an Italian person they're going to Stoke. I'm going to Estoque.
Estoque. Maybe that's where
that's where it was named after. Yeah.
But I mean, this thing was like Rebenton.
Yeah.
Styling. It was so freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
Such a freaking cool car. Original plan was to put a V10 in it, but I've also seen, that people were like, it could have had a V8 or a V12 or a V6.
A front engine V10, that motor up front. Interesting.
And it was 100% a villain's car. You look at it and it looks like you were evil, which is what all Lamborghini buyers want, is to look like the bad guy. So it ticked so many boxes. However, it looks like it was a bit of uncertainty that meant that they never put it into production. It arrived in 2008. There was a huge amount of uncertainty back then because that was right in the thick of the financial crisis. Nobody had a lot of money to go and spend on a V10 engined saloon, and I think Lamborghini got spooked.
Yeah.
But if you look at what came later, Urus concept was announced 4 years later. Obviously, that was good enough. Yeah, 2012 was the Urus. Urus concept, I think, looked considerably better than what the car ultimately was. But So that proved popular enough for them to go, yes, let's go and put that into production. They're now obviously toying with the 2+2. Whether it would have worked back then, I don't know. But the Stoke feels like something that really, I feel like we were robbed. Not getting that.
It was a timing thing on that, wasn't it? It's got to be.
Got to be, yeah.
Because in years prior to that, they might have taken a few risks because they were probably feeling pretty buoyed up after, having Audi turn them around and make them a really successful supercar maker.
Exactly. They could have based it on an S8. Yeah, but hey, never happened. Neither did the Porsche 919 Street.
I'd forgotten about this, but my God, it was pretty.
It was such a pretty thing and such a cool thing. So if you aren't familiar, like we were talking about with BMW, how they just go, here's a load of concepts that we never made. Porsche likes to do this as well. I asked them about it last year, and I think they're due a new batch of concepts that's going to be announced. And I'm hoping there's something maybe RSR 911 related. I don't know. They hadn't confirmed anything to me, but when I kind of said that, they were like, But the last time they did a massive drop, the kind of headline car was the 919 Street. The 919 was the Le Mans car that won Le Mans in 2015, 16 and 17. Also did a pretty good showing on its debut in 2014. Just a ridiculously cool car. I think the idea behind it was, these cars were laboratories on wheels. Laboratory, not lavatory. And they, had a tiny little V4 hybrid that had to basically, I think it was kind of rapid recharge and discharge of the battery. So you're kind of like you have in Formula One, where you have
10 years ago, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So hitting the anchors really hard into a corner, charging up the battery, and then it fires you out, spits you out the other side. Which, Formula One was also doing at the time as well. So they wanted to put that into a street car to basically say, look at the technology transfer from racetrack to road. And I think this is such a good marketing idea for car manufacturers to do. Even if it's just a one-off or a few off, I think it's enough to kind of go like, we really made this happen. Like Mercedes doing with the AMG 1, which was a pain in the backside.
Oh man, apparently
but they made it work.
Yeah, it was all the slow speed stuff. They were like, it's great at high speed, not surprisingly. Very successful engine, but the slow speed stuff was an issue. But these Le Mans engines are developed to survive such a wide range of scenarios, right? Whereas Formula One engines aren't typically. They can handle a couple of starts and off they go. Whereas this probably would have been a much easier car to engineer in terms of the engine powertrain for road use.
Well, I don't know. I think it was such a complicated car that they went, I don't really think we can give this over to the public. But they made a model of it. It looks beautiful. I'd love to see it in person one day. Very, very, very cool car. There are obviously going to be many, many, many more. So head on to the PistonHeads homepage. Go and click on the article of this podcast. Let us know which ones. That's not engagement farming. That's I genuinely really want to know what we've missed, because there's a distinction between concept cars that we love versus concept cars that really should have been made into production cars. Change of pace. We have a buying challenge, obviously. This week it comes from B14. And they say, what would you get that has 7 seats, but the rear 2 seats can be suitable for children and adults, so that they're a little bit spacious? Budget between 45,000 and 60,000. Remember, we always go for the higher end of the budget. Depending on what's out there, probably 2 to 3 years old, below 30,000 miles. I know there are a ton of options out there. At the Peugeot, Kia, Skoda level, would prefer something more interesting, but willing to be told I'm missing a trick. And they've listed various options, but want to know what the PH Massive thinks.
Yeah.
So we've been having a look. We have definitely stuck to the 7-seat criteria.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we've stuck to the age-related criteria.
We haven't.
I think my first one definitely hasn't. But I have actually. So I'm feeling a little bit more smug now. Sam, what have you got?
So I've gone for something that definitely breaks the age limit, but is really lovely. And then I've gone for something that's a bit of a wild card, but is really cool. And then the other one I've gone for, I've just realised you've taken. So I'm going to... Let's just get cracking with the one that I actually really like, but breaks one of the rules. It's a Bentley Bentayga. Because...
amazing to think we can get one of those in budget.
I know. It's £52,995. It is 88,000 miles. And also it's a 2018 car, which massively breaks that 2 to 3 year limit. But, I mean, as the seller here says, it's ULEZ compliant, so it's still, modern in that sense. And also, being a Bentley, I mean, it's not going to feel dated massively because you're going to have all of this, luxury equipment aboard. I mean, naturally, infotainment systems get aged quite fast, but, it'll be fine. It still have CarPlay, all the essentials.
It's a Bentley.
It's a Bentley. It's a Bentley, and it's a 4-litre V8 one, which is not massive for a Bentley, but it's a lovely motor.
It's amazing how the 4-litre V8 is the small engine option.
I know, yeah.
Yes,
not the W12.
W12 is definitely the more desirable one, but from a running cost perspective, it's obviously considerably better. And at 52,995, that gives you much budget left to run the thing.
Exactly. It is. I mean, I'm not so keen on white Bentleys. I think it works in maybe a 70s Bentley, but an SUV.
White with black wheels and black trim potentially isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not the great, but it was the only one I found in budget.
And I think it's good to bring that up.
Yeah.
I think personally, I would, if I were to change the wheels for something chromey or silvery, yeah.
And
would I replace the black trim for chrome? Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I would feel quite as... I feel like that would kind of tone it down a little bit because it does have a black interior.
Yeah.
And so you've got quite a... So it's got a black interior with red stitching.
Exactly. So it's quite a nice interior.
Yeah, it's a nice interior. Yeah. No.
And the rear seats in these are pretty spacious. I mean, I've actually not sat in the back row of a Bentley, not surprisingly, but it's, I did my quick search online. People seem to think it was pretty comfortable in there.
Look, he's mentioned some budget options on there that he's obviously not keen on. Those seats will be practically like, sitting directly on plastic. Whereas these ones have not quilted, but padded leather.
Yeah, still very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. Adult size seats. Now, by pure contrast, my other choice, it's big, it's tough, but it's not luxurious. Although it depends how you class luxury, because these still come with a ton of equipment on them. Well, they certainly did. I've also broken the year's allowance on this as well. But in keeping with the other car was a big white Abu Dhabi-esque car. This is also Abu Dhabi-esque because it's a Toyota Land Cruiser.
With a big old V8.
V8 diesel as well. Now, yes, I appreciate that this is a bit of an oddball. But, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's 58,999. It's worth more than the Bentley. All right, it's 46,000 miles. 47,000.
Wild.
But these really hold their value because they're just deemed to be super cool, right?
Oh, 100%.
And they have loads of space in the back, and they come with a ton of equipment, good sound systems, loads of electric bits, lots of buttons as well. So as far as carrying people around long distances, everyone being comfortable, you being entertained, and also it being the only one you've seen in the last year, this ticks all those boxes. I've just seen how grey the plastics are in this interior. Mm-hmm. It's grey, but there's also wood veneer.
It is grey. I mean, that's I've brought up my wife's Toyota Camry multiple occasions. The interior is, because it's from the same era, the interior is pretty much identical. I can tell you, though, that will be so wafty and soft.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be lovely.
And look at the size, look at the length of the handles to pull and lower the seats.
Yeah.
Like it's just equipped for convenience and comfort and practicality. And yeah, it's just it's one of those cars where I've never wanted one, but if I had multiple cars, I'd definitely have one of these.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an old car, right? It's a 2013 car. It's expensive at £60,000 or just a grand shy. However, if things ever turned south, and the world was
100%.
So let's just say there was a nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah.
You're going to want a Toyota Land Cruiser.
Well, there's that phrase, isn't there, that saying where I think it's some regions of the world where they'll say, like, we get, if you do a safari, the defenders are there for the tourists because they're like, oh, we associate with it. But the actual guys and girls who work on the, out in the
Land Cruiser.
They've got a Land Cruiser because they want to get home tonight.
That's, how... obviously at Le Mans, you've got all these different marques racing against each other to show who's the fastest over 24 hours. I would love to see a point-to-point where I have mostly stock Land Cruisers, Defenders, and whatever, and be like, right, whoever gets to the end wins. I know there's the Dakar for that kind of thing, but even those are a little bit too prepared for my liking.
Now, I know I've just insulted the Defender, but that was the old Defender, which I do love, but, am I going to drive it far away from civilization? Don't know. Old cars. But of course, Land Rover makes a modern Defender. And that can be had with 7 seats. It can also be had in 110 or 130 form. And if you get the 7-seater 130, The rear space is actually pretty good.
You can literally swing your legs around.
You can swing. The 110, it's all right, but I felt I had to choose one because, these are the Defender is cool. Like, the new Defender is great. The interior is lovely.
I absolutely love the new Defender.
Yeah.
I've only driven the Octa. But I had the most fun when I was driving the Octa.
That's the best one.
And observing how quickly the fuel gauge went down. But
yes.
they are fantastic. Absolutely massive beasts. And I just think, it's a car for all occasions.
Exactly. And this one is it says one previous owner. So potentially this is, the first time it's been sold from the person who ordered it originally. And it's been ordered in a lovely, very discreet black on black or grey on black potentially with a dark interior as well. 56,306 miles on the clock, and it's the 3-litre mild hybrid diesel. So it's 300 horsepower and mild hybrid diesel. So, you're going to get a bit of torque, quite a bit of torque actually. So it's lovely. It's got air suspension and panoramic sunroof, sliding panoramic as well, so you can open it up. So it's got all the bits on it. This is a lovely car. And I mean, these are... I think the biggest risk with Defenders is just how in demand they are with thieves. But, they are a lovely car to drive. And as you said with the Octa, that's the peak. But even the standard ones, the interiors are really lovely. They ride well. They're so different to the original, obviously.
Yeah.
But great car.
By the way, if you're listening to this and it sounds like there's a lot of people falling over and dropping cutlery everywhere, it's because the office opposite our studio is currently emptying out, and there's no chance that we're going to be able to stop them from making this noise. So hopefully our waffling is covering it up. But anyway, I'm going to start off with the car that you have already mentioned, the Volvo XC90. It seems like an obvious choice, which is why Sam went for it. And if you kind of read between the lines, it's probably the best car of the ones that we're going to suggest. The one that I've got here is the Ultra T8, so it's a plug-in hybrid, 306 horsepower, which means I think it's the twin charge. I think that's the supercharged and turbocharged, which we all love because of the Lancia Delta S4, obviously. But you've got 7 seats in this. I'm pretty sure these are quite roomy in the back.
They are.
I've not driven a XC90 for a very long time, but these new ones are so lovely.
And the impressive thing is because it's
desirable.
And it's a plug-in hybrid. Normally, you don't get 7-seat plug-in hybrids because the batteries are in the boot.
Precisely.
So,
what's even better is that this one is in a sort of very, very dark maroony colour.
It's annoyingly kind of ideal, this car.
It is really cool. I really
lovely.
love this one. It's 57,590, 10,500 miles, 0 previous owners. It's a really lovely car. I think this is the most sensible option, but I don't do sensible. So the next one is the least sensible option, but the most PHE option. It's an SQ7. I love the Q7. I think this generation is just a fantastic car. They're so versatile. They drive really nicely. I think they're brilliant. The SQ7 throws a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 into that with 500 horsepower. So it's not going to be the most frugal of cars.
Yeah.
If frugality is what you're after, go for the XC90.
Yeah.
Or my last option, actually. But this one's a very smart one. Unlike your Bentley, which is white with black wheels, mine is black with silver wheels and
silver door mirrors.
Highlights, silver door mirrors.
Lovely.
Very, very tasteful. Black diamond quilted leather interior.
It's not quite the Bentley though inside, but
it's not.
Nice.
It's Audi. It's very Vorsprung technique.
Yeah.
It's it does the job. It's inoffensive. You get into it and you just go, it's efficient.
Das ist gut.
Das ist gut.
Yeah.
So it will be a super practical car that will just sprinkle a little bit of enjoyment onto your daily drives. But I do understand if that is going to be a bit too much money to run. So I've gone for, to end off, this seemed like a car where I kind of brushed it off at first, and then I thought, I actually really quite like the idea of this. It's a BMW X7 xDrive 30D M Sport.
And it's
a long name.
It's got the nicer face.
It has got the nicer face.
The double headlight one, which came after, I think.
The double stack headlight.
Yeah,
the only thing
nicer.
that troubled me a bit with the X7 and all of the BMW rebrands before they went full on nostril nose is that they went, right, we've got to make the grills bigger without really changing the rest of the design of the car. So the top of the grill kind of spills over to the top of the bonnet. It looked horrific on the 7 Series. it looks much better on the X7.
Yeah, it's the right shape to absorb that kind of feature, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, so you've got something that is, it's kind of got that air of premium, which is exactly what they were after. Very, very premium feeling, almost luxurious car. This one's dark blue with the cream leather interior, so it is really quite sumptuous.
It is. That is a very, very sensible spec, isn't it?
It is lovely. You've also got the kind of the crystal gear lever, which looked really smart on these and a bit gaudy when they went to the XM. But I feel like it's that nice kind of balance of traditional BMW where they were starting to sprinkle a bit more luxury in before it got a bit, again, gaudy. Diesel power means that it's going to be nice and frugal. I don't think a diesel's a bad thing, especially when it's in a nice big car like this. 23,500 miles. It's basically a diesel-powered Rolls-Royce Cullinan for an eighth of the price.
Yeah. And it is really, I mean, it just highlights everything I think about the iX3's interior. Like this X7 shows you like peak BMW. If they could have put the latest in digital tech, but retained all of that switchgear, you'd have, in today's world, an optimal BMW interior. But they binned all that stuff and they put it all in the bloody screens.
I know. Why BMW? So if you want to experience the best of BMW before all the screens, go for this. I can't believe I'm picking this over an XC90 and an SQ7, but it's the one that spoke to me the most.
I mean, I'm breaking rules. I want to choose the Bentley, but it's too old. But I'm just going to choose that one because it's a lot of car. It needs some chroming, which is not something I'd ever thought I'd say.
Yeah, get some more chrome on that to tone it down a bit.
But you've got a Bentley.
So there you have it. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I will put up a poll that you can choose either my car or Sam's car. And, you know, it's just something I like to point out in his face next time I see him. If I've won or he's won, he usually wins annoyingly.
Is that right? I'm surprised by that.
You do actually, yes. I've won the last few.
There we go. I've seen a few of those, yeah.
But you have won a lot of them, annoyingly. Or you can head on to the PistonHeads homepage, go and click on the article link, head into the topic and put your own suggestions down and then maybe say, Cam Sam, you suck. Now, we always have a look at the PistonHeads auctions as well to see if something fits. We do actually have a Defender coming up for auction. However, it's a little bit outside the... They wanted something a little bit more modern. This one falls a bit outside of that because it's from 2014.
I mean...
So bang on what your
I was about to say,
Cruiser is.
My definition of modern is that.
It's an XS... it's a 110 XS commercial with a mere 122 horsepower, but it'll be nice and torquey and a good workhorse. I
think the key thing about it not being modern is it's the old Defender, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a modern old Defender.
It's a new old Defender.
Yeah.
27,000 miles on the clock as well. So one previous owner. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
I love that. So maybe that's the one that people should vote on.
That's a 7-seater, that one?
I believe so. Wait, commercial. Might not be.
That's all right. Just screw a pair of deck chairs in the boot.
Well, there you go. See, PH, we're always thinking practically.
Shouldn't admit that, but I used to get driven to school in the back of my dad's van with my mate sometimes, not every time. We'd normally walk, but yeah, he'd throw a couple of sun loungers in the back.
I was going to say, it is definitely not a 7-seater, but you could seat some people in the back.
Oh, you could just screw a couple of chairs in, you'll be right.
Okay, so to finish things off, I've got a topic that I think I could probably talk about for ages and ages and ages. It's by Starsky 80 and it's called Cars That You Disliked the Styling of When New But Like Now. And it goes...
Pitch in the tone there. You went Australian.
Because there's a question mark at the end. And they say, what are the cars you dislike the styling of when they were released but have come to like the look of in subsequent years? The two that most immediately spring to mind are two humble family cars from the early 2000s, namely the Mark I Ford Focus and Renault Megane Deux. At the time I thought, what were they thinking? As they both were very out there in terms of styling compared to the more conservative competitors like the Astra Golf A3 and more conventionally good-looking cars like the Peugeot 306 and Alfa Romeo 147. Oh, I love a 147. Especially a GTA.
Yeah.
I'm always aware that the Mark I Focus was a vastly superior car to the Escort that it replaced, but I never loved the looks, and it probably took a few years until the comparatively dull Mark II Focus came out for me to learn to like its looks and the styling still looks very crisp to me now. In hindsight, these two cars have probably dated less in terms of styling than all their contemporary competition and still look quite modern today. Mark 1 Focus interior definitely looks dated.
Yeah. Well, the exteriors are on that car look great, right? I think it's job, but you're right. The interior, I think the same for the Megane, actually. The interior is dated pretty bad.
Yeah.
All old Renaults.
But that Megane, I think, looks fantastic. I liked it when it was new as well, actually.
I just love the advert. Shaking an ass.
Oh, great.
What a great ad.
See, sticks with
it
you.
was back in the days of the optimistic ad. Now it's all trying to be cool.
It's just trying to be way too cool. Or
some of them
you look at the Peugeot adverts where it's just like neon lions running around and a family. I don't know. It's quite a long post, so I've cut it short a bit. But they say, so what cars do you hate, strongly dislike the styling of when they were new, but have come to appreciate over time? So Genius of Love says, many cars that looked like dog's breakfast 20 years ago look really great now because everything is such a mess. I also find that as my appreciation for detail, proportion, and some of the more technical aspects of design has gone from a non-existent to Ladybird Book of Car Design level, I find a lot of appreciation in what I thought were very bland designs when I was younger. Stuff like the W124E class Mercedes, which I used to think was a dull block, now absolutely woos me with its fabulous attention to detail and design rigor. True, those are. I love a solid block of Merc.
And there's actually like having that simple, just the lines that flow into the necks and a straight line from the front wing to the rear. Like I'm the same. I used to think all that stuff was just boring, and now I'm like, it's actually really nice.
Clean. Yeah, exactly.
Not like every panel has 9 different angles in it, which a lot of cars these days do.
Oh, 100%. Swansea Boy says, oh my God. Nissan Figaro. Hated them when they came out. Love them now. Thoughts on the Figaro, Sam?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can agree with that. I don't think I love them.
They have a real cult following now.
Isn't there like a modified scene of the Figaro as well?
Oh
there's
God.
Because there's one near me
RB26
in that pink as well.
DTT.
I'm sure there's like stanced. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay,
oh my God.
that hasn't ended up with me going, they actually look quite good.
No,
yeah.
I think they're better when they are left alone.
I'm pretty sure in Japan there's like they went down the whole route of like American modified, hot rod stuff.
Oh, that I would like to see. But the Figaro, each to their own. Robert B says Ferrari F430. I agree with that. I thought this looked like an overweight dog's breakfast after the slippery modern 360 and the drop dead gorgeous F355. I really like them now.
I always like that.
Back at you, Rob B. I think exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I always liked them, but again, I think I've said it on the pod before. It's because Schumacher was in the marketing material,
that was it.
And I was just,
I just kind of was like,
status.
it looks a bit flabby and chunky. And now I think they are dead cool. Mark 1 KN, for some reason, I've started to warm to them.
Bingo.
That's
I'm all over
B.
that.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
Over that. I used to think they looked pants, and now I'm like, God, it looks quite good now.
Exactly. Although there's something always, maybe because I've not seen a tidy turbo for a long time, but whenever I see an old KN Mark 1 turbo, I'm like, that looks expensive to run.
They absolutely will be. But they're so over-engineered as well.
True.
All of them, the Mark 1s.
Yeah.
Arguably more than any ones come after, because Porsche were like, the quote I got when they were like, we got to get it right. We don't know who the buyer is. Is it going to be a performance car buyer that wants an SUV, or is it going to be an off-roady, enthusiast who wants a premium car, or they made it for everyone?
Is it going to be the same for the Ferrari Luce?
I
Honestly, I was a little too young to really have an opinion when the Cayenne came out. But, I could see myself throwing my toys out the pram if they did that now.
Oh, and people did, didn't they? I think largely because of the way it looked. But I think it was easier in those days because you could have multiple engine variants and stuff, whereas the Luce, all right, they might have more power in a later version, but it's still going to be just a very fast EV. So, I don't know. It's easier in those days because the turbo versus the base model were very different cars in the Cayenne.
I realise I'm going to get us onto Luce chat, so I'm going to push things on to Lester H, who says, Bentayga for me.
Yes.
I agree. Bentayga, the concept, which was the EXP something? I can't remember what it was. But the concept of that was
great.
A really cool looking thing. Then the original Bentayga came out, and it was a bit like, Then they facelifted it, and it looked a bit more like the EXP9F. There we go.
Very nice.
And and facelifted Bentayga in that spec for me is sublime.
Yeah.
Finally, deranged Rover, the E60 Dame Edna BMW 5 Series. Dame Edna.
I'm just
Is it because
I
of the
don't
like
remember
the
that.
kind of like the eye? It's
Yeah,
quite like kind of flicky eyes.
It
I guess
must
on
be,
the.
yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I never really had a problem with the Bandolera. Also, they've said the Fiat Multipla. I always quite liked the Fiat Multipla. I thought it was kind of fun. But again, I was a child when it came out, so it's kind of a bit more like a toy. What I don't agree with is that they also quite like the Tesla Cybertruck.
Yeah. I mean, the panel gaps alone are just horrendous to observe.
It's just,
Yeah.
I can't even be bothered to talk about it, to be honest.
Yeah. I saw loads of them when I was in the States last in Texas. I literally saw like one every 10 minutes.
They love them out there.
Yeah.
But which kind of says everything, really. Thank you ever so much for listening to this episode of the Gassing Station podcast. If you like what you listen to, please can you leave us a 5-star review and maybe some nice words, because it helps get the name of the Gassing Station out to more people. Because the more listeners we have, the more rubbish we can keep rambling on. That's it for this week. Sam, anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm just really excited to hear your true updates of the Monaco Grand Prix, so we can then declare whether Lance Stroll did in fact qualify in pole and win.
Not to rub it in, but we can talk about that when we're at Le Mans.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Which is brilliant. So
bring your sun cream. It's going to be a hot one.
Oh, yeah. Well, in that case then, see you next Tuesday.